It's been 76 years since anyone last saw Captain Robert Lindquist. Over 20,680 days to be exact. And to this day, people still want to know why. It all started on December 28, 1948. Those that were paying attention quickly realized that this wasn't a normal flight. If only those 32 passengers knew what was about to happen next. This was supposed to be like every other plane ride from Puerto Rico to Florida. But instead, this aircraft disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle. Like there was never any flight at all. You probably have never heard of Captain Robert, and that's probably for a good reason. Many sailors met a similar fate and disappeared nameless, but it wasn't until Christopher Columbus documented his horrific experience at sea that the legend of the Bermuda Triangle was truly born. Columbus's account of the Devil's Triangle rattled him to his core, and his unexplainable encounters quickly became the story of legends. But there's a much greater reason as to why people fear the Bermuda Triangle today. But before we can process our fears, we first have to recognize what the Bermuda Triangle represents to people around the world.
Is lost Atlantis below these waters? And just who or what is collecting human specimens? Blue energy, time warps, or a window into another dimension?
The Bermuda Triangle is so much more than a mass graveyard of ships and planes. The Bermuda Triangle is the true embodiment of our fear of the unknown, and this fear was quickly commodified and sold back to us. If you stick around to the end, you'll soon realize that things are not what they seem. So let's investigate the man that tried to investigate the triangle. A man who tried to find answers that the public wasn't really ready to accept. If you've ever seen a movie, TV show, or song talk about the Bermuda Triangle, it's probably because of this guy. The Bermuda Triangle lore dates back to Christopher Columbus's 1492 voyage. Columbus's trip was riddled with supernatural anomalies. Little did he know how truly influential this trip would be to modern cinema. We can thank history's #1 supervillain for bringing us films like Monsternado. And who can forget the classics like Sky Monster? But if you really want to experience pain, Bermuda Island has a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Light it out.
Why do I have to sue over this? I got makeup in my eyes.
This is Puerto Rico?
No, bro. Looks like we're on our own.
Alright, so what is the plan?
We're gonna start surviving, okay?
Maybe we can build a raft and try to get the hell out of here.
And who put you in charge?
Do you have a better plan?
But fear not, because for every cinematic disaster, there is an unsung masterpiece. Scooby-Doo and his stoner boyfriend are willing to solve the world's greatest mystery.
Hurricane Hunter plane has disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle.
Disappeared?
Yeah, Scoob. Ships and planes have been disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle for years.
Ships and planes?
And if you ever want to see Jack Black go through a vortex and get attacked by tiny people, there's a movie for you. The point is, Americans are in love with an unsolvable mystery. So art and culture have evolved to support some of the most outlandish theories. In our lifetime, we may never understand why those ships never reached their final destination. We may never know what Christopher Columbus saw in that storm. But what we do know is that the ocean is cold, scary, and weird. And you are going to find a lot more than Nemo if you go looking in the wrong places. This insatiable curiosity inspired millions of people to spend money looking for answers. And it turned out the truth varied based off what people wanted to hear. Many of these authors told outlandish stories. But let's put one thing in perspective. People are piloting undersea submersibles with video game controllers, and sharks are scary. So I'm guessing that the majority of the ocean will be unexplored for some time. So most normal people aren't in a rush to get down there. But that really won't stop any of these authors from messing with you. They will tell you stories about ancient civilizations and energy patterns. And even though this is most certainly untrue, you have no evidence to actually disprove what they're saying either. Now, this really isn't a theological discussion about a fish god. Maybe it's just me, but I think it's interesting to consider how ocean mythology evolved over time. In school, I read the Odyssey, and I was very excited to learn about the Kraken. Now, in the Bermuda Triangle, we all know that multiple ships were lost at sea. Voyagers just disappeared off the face of the earth. It's easy to write these occurrences off as mysterious anomalies, and many people were convinced that there was something supernatural at play. But there is a more sinister reason as to why pop culture is fascinated with the Bermuda Triangle. You might not believe this, but every preconceived notion you have about the Bermuda Triangle probably comes from one singular source that manufactured a narrative that still grips the general public today. One 1974 book taught a generation to fear the Devil's Triangle. And by the end of this video, you can decide whether these fears are justified or not. However, it's really important to recognize that this one novel created a misinformation wildfire. So let's dive right into the life of Charles Berlitz, a man that convinced millions of people to fear the unknown. And here's how he got disgustingly rich in the process. Berlitz published a book called The Bermuda Triangle, which doesn't sound very original, but at the time it must have been groundbreaking. This man wanted to convince you that you were somehow sailing over the lost city of Atlantis, but that's really just the surface. Berlitz made millions selling you lies. People bought 14 million copies of this book, and the stories he told were truly intoxicating. So I got my hand on Charles Berlitz's book. Let's just say this guy takes creativity to a whole new level. Berlitz is the Alex Jones of undersea exploration. Charles really wants you to believe that UFOs inhabit this space. He even named a chapter of his book Time, Space, Warps, and Other Worlds. Anyways, right off the bat, you really know that this is a scientifically peer-reviewed paper. I'm just gonna read some of this and let his work speak for itself. Visitors from other worlds may possibly either be interested in preserving a living relic of Earth on some other planet, or may wish to check the advancement of our present civilization on the Earth before misuse of nuclear power becomes a danger to other planets. This is what you hear from that one guy on the back of a subway. And yet, millions of people went out and bought this book. Charles really was ahead of his time in many ways. On one random page that I've read, he's talking about Ezekiel from the Bible getting in a UFO.
UFOs, as well as some probable encounters, appear not only in the Bible, but in the written and oral histories of every culture in the family of man. In the last 30 years, UFOs have been sighted all over the world and over nearly every major city. But there seems to be a surprising concentration of sightings right here in the Bermuda Triangle, even though only a small percentage of them ever get reported to the authorities.
I want what this guy's on. It wouldn't be a UFO story about the Bermuda Triangle without sneaking in a reference to ancient Egypt and Alexander the Great. But this is where it starts to get wild. Because of his clear journalistic integrity, Charles always cites his sources. Like a true professional, Berlitz refers to Dr. Jessup, an expert in the field, and it would be unfair for me to not read these revolutionary findings to you. So here we go. Dr. Jessup had a theory that the power of magnetic fields could transform and transport matter from one dimension to another. That UFOs could come into our dimension and get out again, taking human or other samples with them.
Some physicists have suggested that the plane might have entered some dimensional window, a space window, if you will, which caused an inversion of time and space, thrusting her plane into an early period of time, where they saw the island in the past, before the landing strip and buildings even existed. Sounds fantastic, doesn't it?
Etwa 30 Sekunden.
That's Sicily, 1939.
He further thought that some of the accidents were caused by the UFO's cathode rays, creating a vacuum which disintegrated planes when they entered this field. Okay, so before I proceed, I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Aliens are bouncing around, and that's why planes are getting blown up. Okay, cool. Now that we all agree with that premise, let's go deeper.
Another theory favored in some circles is a sort of anti-gravity tunnel, visible only as a whirlpool in the sea. An inverse magnetic field capable of altering the molecular structure of any physical property entering it. we? Some 40 miles away, another Navy plane piloted by Lieutenant Robert Cox picked up Flight 19's plane-to-plane communication.
Captain Thomas Mantle and several other pilots of the Godman Field, Fort Knox, took their P-51 Mustangs up after a UFO of tremendous size, observed during the daytime and approaching the base. When Mantle climbed after it, his plane was seen by witnesses to disintegrate. A later Air Force statement declared that the captain blacked out while pursuing the planet Venus and that the plane fell apart in the subsequent dive. He flew too close to the saucer, into the saucer's field of ionization. His plane exploded into so many pieces that nothing larger than the size of a fist was found. Okay, so hold up, real question. If you're a fighter pilot, what is your game plan when you follow a UFO? There is no scenario I can picture where that ever ends well. This is just my opinion, but I don't think that's a good idea. Even if you thought you could figure out where it was coming from, I would go the other way. You are not going to catch it. It's going to catch you. This level of brain rot needs to be studied because the best is yet to come. Storytime continues, and this passage will restore your faith in humanity. This is Charles's explanation as to why everyone's getting kidnapped by the aliens and UFOs. Some researchers have suggested that intelligent entities, light years scientifically advanced over the comparatively primitive peoples of the Earth, have been engaged throughout the centuries in observing our progress and will eventually intervene to prevent us from destroying our own planet. So the way that I'm interpreting this is that the aliens got your back. So it only makes sense that they have to take you out when you get too smart. They are really helping us by blowing up our planes, but it's for our own good. According to this book, humans that are kidnapped in the Bermuda Triangle are placed in space zoos.
So this guy collects living beings?
Yeah, you know, like commemorative plates, but less off-putting. You'll get it when you're still actively dating in your 40s.
Why would you put people in space zoos? Well, this book has all the answers. The research is way too thorough. Space zoos exist to capture humans from every era of planetary development. This rabbit hole kept pulling me in, and there's so much more I can say on this topic. I found these passages by flipping to just 4 random pages within the book. And this might be a Scientology starter course, but this is the gift that keeps on giving. Now, there has to be some rational explanation as to why Berlitz thought that the aliens were involved. A number of the ships that were reported missing didn't signal for help. And while this might seem suspicious, even today the ocean isn't really known for the best communication. And it's really not like they had Wi-Fi back then, just miles and miles of endless waves. However, some might argue that Berlitz's fears about the Bermuda Triangle were not completely unfounded. And there have been more than a few incidents that have puzzled historians. Like Flight 19. We're about to go down the whirlpool. 5 Navy torpedo bombers just disappeared off the face of the Earth. The year was 1945, so everyone was a little on edge. The craziest part is that the plane that went searching for Flight 19 never returned. Anyways, your whole life you have been lied to about the Bermuda Triangle, because to many, the truth is not what it seems. You probably think that Berlitz is crazy, or that he's just some really sophisticated grifter who found a way to capitalize on our collective paranoia. But here's where we reread the script and things get a little twisted. Even if Berlitz is obviously lying, there's something undeniably strange about these occurrences.
Scientists and authorities all seem to differ on just what is going on in the Bermuda Triangle. But there is one cold, hard fact to which they must all agree. A shocking number of ships and planes and lives have mysteriously disappeared in this area, and they continue to disappear.
Okay, we don't agree on a lot, but we can all agree that something weird is going on in the triangle. Well, someone hold me back because I'm about to go full buzzkill. The truth isn't always pretty. Scientists made a shocking discovery. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, there is no evidence that mysterious disappearances occur with a greater frequency in the Bermuda Triangle than in any other large, well-traveled area of the ocean. Meaning that Berlitz was just selling you a bunch of hype. and that the Bermuda Triangle is far safer than most people believe. According to scientists, the Bermuda Triangle wasn't even in the top 10 for the most dangerous oceans.
No. Wait. Wait.
Yet, despite these conclusive findings, people are still superstitious about the triangle.
Something's wrong. I can feel it.
It's just a feeling I've got. Like something's about to happen.
Is lost Atlantis below these waters? And just who or what is collecting human specimens? Blue energy, time warps, or a window into another dimension? Together, the nations of the world must find the answers before it's too late. Our very survival may well depend on knowing what is going on here in the Bermuda Triangle.
Charles Berlitz knowingly sold you a lie to convince you that there was something nefarious about one of the most secretive and mysterious pockets of the ocean, when in reality he manufactured a narrative to make himself rich. Misconceptions about this region still live on to this day. Undoubtedly, the Bermuda Triangle will live on through pop culture, all because one author seemed to have an explanation for the seemingly unexplainable. One thing is for certain, Berlitz's influence is undeniable. There was even a Bermuda Triangle board game.
Accessible only across the forbidding lime green waters of the Bermuda Triangle, and its sinister, unforgiving mystery cloud. Even the ports along the way are not safe. Can you beat the unknown? Can you save at least some of your fleet? Can you make it home with your cargo? This is the Bermuda Triangle from MB.
But if you don't play around, there's even a Fleetwood Mac song for you.
I guess you heard about the Bermuda Triangle. There's something going on. Nobody seems to know just what it is, and the Air Force won't let on. Might be a hole down in...
Maybe it was all the lead poisoning at the time, but people wanted to believe in something greater than themselves. Berlitz said it best in the final sentences of his book. As a species, we are now approaching maturity. We cannot retreat from the search for knowledge or new explanations, either in this world or beyond. Follow the madness.